What's up, guys? Welcome to Lean Life Revolution. My name is Nick Ehrlich, and today we're going to our second video in our three-part video series about body type success. Today we're talking about the mesomorphic body type, so check this out. Alright guys, so we're heading back into body type success, and this is part 2, and today we're talking about the mesomorphic body type. Okay, so we talked about it in our previous video. There are typically 3 body types that we talk about when we talk about genotypic or genetic body types. There's the ectomorphic body type, which we talked about in our last video, people who are really naturally skinny, naturally long and lean, but have a hard time gaining muscle or fat, right? The next video, we're gonna talk about our endomorphic body types, which is really what I identify as the most, right? Which are your people who can gain muscle really easily, but also gain and harbor body fat very easily, right? And today, in the middle of that, we're gonna talk about the mesomorphic body type, okay? Now, the mesomorphic body type tends to be the jackpot in a lot of ways when it talks about a natural physique, okay? So you can see with our crudely drawn guy right here, okay? These are people who are naturally really muscular, are naturally really lean, naturally have kind of a V shape to their body. So when you look at them from the front, they're giving you a wide shoulder into a really narrow waist, right? These are also people who tend to be very athletic because they have the right type of natural muscle fiber in their body to be very explosive and very athletic and very dynamic, okay? Now, if you think back to being a little kid and being at the pool or the beach or at summer camp, you probably knew a kid who right away, I mean, this is boys or girls, who at 9, 10, 11, 12 was already one of those kids who could do 1,000,000 push-ups, do 1,000,000 sit-ups, do 1,000,000 pull-ups. You know, they had like a 6-pack at 10 years old, and they had that natural musculature even at that young age. You know, there was always a kid that you could pick out in your class in 5th or 6th grade who already kind of had that like freak physique, you know what I mean? So those are gonna tend to be your mesomorphic body types. By the way, I was never that kid. I know who those kids were in my class. All right, and I'm not gonna call them out here because that would be embarrassing, but they're still freak athletes in our 30s, right? So, the mesomorphic body type is gonna be someone who is naturally very good at gaining lean tissue, all right? And also has a hard time gaining and storing body fat. So these are the people who tend to go into sports like bodybuilding and figure prep and physique-based sports because it's very easy for them to grow muscle tissue and to tone muscle tissue while not gaining body fat at the same time, okay? So, if you are one of those mesomorphic body types, when you're someone who responds really well to resistance training, you get big, you get muscular, you get really toned, but you don't necessarily gain body fat at the same time, good for you, pat yourself on the back. So now how do you maximize that, okay? Well, the first thing is that since you have a metabolism that is not necessarily like carb sensitive or calorie sensitive, you can eat a little more, gain some lean tissue and not get fat. That's fantastic and that's great for you, right? But what you have to determine is what does your individual carbohydrate load look like on a day-to-day basis so that you can maintain the, you know, whatever your lean ideal is. You know, if you like walking around at 10 to 12% body fat, you feel like that's a good look for you, you're comfortable there, you perform well in the gym there, your energy levels are good, that's great. What does your carbohydrate load look like to keep you in that wheelhouse? You know, how much protein, how much healthy fat do you need to consume to maintain this kind of ideal leanness? If you want to be a little bit leaner, you know what I mean? How can you taper down that carbohydrate load to the point that you don't necessarily need to be at, you know, a low carb, by the classic definition of low carb intake, right? You just have to determine what do your individual nutrient levels look like so that you can drop body fat when you want to drop body fat. Let's say you're cleaning up for vacation or a photo shoot or something like that where you want to get a little bit leaner. You have to determine what's kind of the minimum effective dose of dropping your calories and your carbohydrates so that you can continue to gain muscle and maintain muscle and lean out, right? Because you are genetically so good at naturally gaining and maintaining lean tissue while burning and not gaining body fat, all you really have to do is find that sweet spot for yourself where you see that your body's responding to training, right? And your body's not losing energy, losing mass, or alternatively gaining any kind of mass that you're out of control with, right? Because you're not monitoring your intake. Now, in terms of exercise, your body's gonna respond really well. Oop, lost my pen. Your body's gonna respond really well to resistance training. So, if you are weight training and you are keeping it in like an 8 to 12 hypertrophy range, you're keeping the pace really kind of moving, and you're hitting your cardio a couple days a week, working in some high intensity sessions, you're gonna be able to keep the physique of an Olympic sprinter because you're very good at that, right? You don't need to do long states of fasted cardio in order to get lean because your body's naturally going to do that. So when people come to me with a mesomorphic body type, I tell them, keep your resistance training in a circuit capacity, keep your cardio a couple days a week, but keep it in between the 20 to 35 minute range so that you're doing kind of the bare minimum to keep lean and not going into your body consuming itself for fuel, right? And other than that, it's just kind of knowing your sweet spot, right? So keep your diet varied, but know what your individual carbohydrate needs look like on a day-to-day basis so that you have the energy to live, the energy to work out, and you're not gaining any kind of mass or body fat that is out of control. But that's part two, the mesomorphic body type or the natural bodybuilder body type. So we did ectomorphs in our last video, we did mesomorphs in this video, and in our next video, we're gonna tackle the endomorphic physique, which is really where I feel like I personally am, so I have a lot of emotional connectivity to that. So, thanks for checking us out. Make sure to like and subscribe for more. Thank you for joining the revolution. We'll see you right back here.